to have Cheryl be here with us today. Carrie really, in her leadership as chair last year, had us really involved with the conversation around menopause and how that impacts women, particularly in the workplace. And so there was a recent report. The governor actually participated along with Halle Berry, the actress, presented with the report. And so excited to have the executive director of the Michigan Women's Commission here with us today. Cheryl Bergman is a statewide policy leader in advancing economic opportunity and improved health outcomes for women in Michigan. She was appointed executive director of the Michigan Women's Commission by Governor Gretchen Whitmer in 2019, and she leads the commission's work at the intersection of public policy, workforce participation, and women's health, ensuring that the experiences of Michigan women inform state leadership and economic strategy. And under her leadership, the Michigan Women's Commission has elevated emerging issues affecting women and families across the state. Ooh, where'd I go? Across the state, convening employers, healthcare experts, and advocates and policymakers to translate lived experience into practical policy solutions. Cheryl has helped the commission has as a trusted statewide platform for dialogue and innovation on issues ranging from economic security, affordable childcare, and midlife women's health. Prior to her appointment, Cheryl has built a career advancing women's political leadership in Michigan, where she has played key roles in historic campaigns that helped elect Michigan's first woman U.S. senator and the state's first woman governor. And most recently, she served as senior advisor to Governor Whitmer's successful 2018 campaign. She's a graduate of Michigan State University with a degree in journalism, and she still lives in East Lansing and serves as chair of the advisory board of the Potter Park Zoo in Lansing. And through her leadership, she continues to champion the belief that when women thrive, Michigan thrives. And because that is so in line with our mission and vision for Junior League here in Michigan is women's overall health, our physical, mental, social, financial health. We are really excited to have Cheryl be here with us. And so as soon as she's able to join with us, we will usher her right on in and let her present with us today. And we can do a quick pause if anybody needs to go grab some coffee. And we can reconvene when Cheryl is able to join us. All right, thank you all. Want to go ahead and jump in. Our special guest is here with us. Cheryl, we did do a brief introduction of you earlier. But ladies, again, so very excited and pleased to welcome Cheryl Bergman, the Executive Director of the Michigan Women's Commission. Did it right the first time. Amen. To us here at Michigan SPAC to talk a little bit about the Menopause Memorandum and the work that she gets to do every day with the Women's Commission. Cheryl, I will hand it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I apologize for my tardiness. And it was just I'm going to chalk it up to a menopause moment. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
but I'm glad I was like, oh, you know, one of those, like there's something in the back of my mind, yeah. So I'm so glad I made it. So thank you for the introduction. And I am so pleased to announce that the Women's Commission, we just released on March 24th our Menopause Memorandum. And this memorandum makes recommendations to employers and lawmakers about how to help women in midlife and going through perimenopause and menopause thrive in the workplace, in the health system, in their communities, in their home lives, all of it. And so when we launched the menopause movement, as we call it, last March, Governor Whitmer launched it with Halle Berry, who came into Michigan. She uses her platform to really advocate for education and research around menopause and legislation at the state level and the federal level. So she came in and helped us launch the movement last March. And since last March, the Women's Commission has traveled the state. We held 13 conversations around the state, heard from women, gathered their stories. We also had over 600 responses to our menopause in the workplace survey. Thank you, Carrie, for helping us to get that out to the Junior League. And I'm sure many of you saw it and took it. So thank you so much. You were a big part of helping make that a real solid data set. And so we used what we learned from the women in the work, or the menopause in the workplace survey, and the conversations that we held to make these recommendations in the listening to women and what we needed and what they wanted. And we also, and the other big thing is that 7 pieces of menopause related legislation have been introduced in the Michigan legislature since last year. I mean, going from like zero conversation to having 7 pieces introduced. And the great news is that 2 of those pieces have passed the House on a bipartisan, with bipartisan votes, and are in the Senate. So we actually have a public meeting on Monday in Ann Arbor, and Senator Sue Schenck and Representative Carrie Reingans are going to join us. And they're going to let us know, hopefully, when we might see those bills getting passed and hit the governor's desk. So stay tuned for that. It's really exciting. So I can share my screen if I am able.
You should be able to. Yep.
Okay. And I will. So this is the memorandum. It is on our website. I've scrolled down a few pages to get to the good stuff. But it's on the front page of our website if you want to look at it, and maybe it looks like somebody might have dropped it in the chat too. So the 3 key takeaways, the things that we heard the most over and over again, was train physicians on menopause. And I don't know how many of you know this, but like, of the thousands of hours of training that physicians get on all things, they get like a couple of hours on menopause and perimenopause. So there's not even your OBGYNs, and it's not their fault. And this is something we're, working to bring awareness to and bring some change to in the medical field. But even your OBGYNs often don't know what they need to know for menopause. So one thing I'll tell you right now, before I forget to say this, menopause.org is a great resource to go to find menopause certified practitioners in your area. So they list all the menopause certified practitioners in every state. And so you can look up, you can put in your city or your area and see who's nearest you. There's not a ton of them. There's only about, I think, around 3,000 in the country. And when we did our conversations around the state, we found every one of them in Michigan and had them on our panels. So, and we have a directory of all of these people that I can also make sure to share with all of you too, that were on our panels in Michigan. And we didn't just have menopause certified physicians and practitioners. We included mental health specialists, sex therapists, physical therapists who focus on pelvic floor. We had naturopathic doctors. Some women cannot handle hormones and can't take them. So there are other through naturopathic ways to help some of the symptoms. So we included like a whole range of modalities and healing and on our panels for that hopefully helps everyone in the way that they need to be helped. The second key takeaway was educate us, and do it young. When girls are learning about their menstrual cycles, teach them about perimenopause and menopause, what to expect, how to care for yourself. What you do in your cyclical years really affects how you go through perimenopause and menopause. So, how do we take care of ourselves from, menses through menopause? Like, how do we do that? So really start that education really soon, because I don't know about you all, but I knew nothing. And I wish I knew then what I know now, meaning then when I was going through some terrible perimenopause symptoms and actually, up until the pause. Luckily, a lot of those symptoms since I've paused have diminished, but they're still there now and then, just brain fog. We make me one of them. So, so educate us early. But yeah, I was starting to say that, like, my mom didn't talk about it. I asked my mom, you know, hey, how was when I started having some symptoms, like in my 40s, early 40s, late 30s, really, early 40s. And she was like, I don't know. I don't remember. It was nothing. And my dad's behind her, like shaking his head and rolling his eyes. It's not a conversation. So the third thing was, and just FYI, my grandmother did tell me that she was prescribed lithium for what she called her screaming meanies. And I'm sure many of you, there's that, I don't know, rage, we'll call it. Yeah. So she didn't take it for long, she said, because she couldn't form sentences and it made her drool. But yeah, that's how they handled us back then. So the next thing is, everybody talked about destigmatize the conversation, normalize the conversation around menopause. And we were just yesterday invited to do a panel conversation at the Michigan Women Veterans Conference in Grand Rapids. And there was a couple hundred women veterans, and they were so, one woman's like, where you been all my life? So it's like, just having this conversation is so important. And that was just another reminder, because it had been since November, since that was our last conversation. So this is the first one we've done since then. And it was just, such a good reminder that no, not everyone. I talk about it all the time, but not everybody does. So normalize and destigmatize the conversation. So the recommendations. So for employers, educate employees, not just the women, about perimenopause and menopause. 79% of our survey respondents said they wanted a supportive workplace, that it's important to them. And 77% agreed that they'd like to learn more about menopause workplace protocols. Provide trusted information and resources. Only 8% of the respondents said that they were satisfied with the menopause-related resources currently available at their work, and 35% expressed dissatisfaction. And mainly that was because there were no resources. There are no resources at their workplace. Update policies with a midlife women's health lens, create low-cost workplace accommodations, and a review and expand benefits. So these are the top things that the survey respondents said would be helpful to them. Work from home or remote work arrangements. Flexible schedules also was something, that was important. Improve ventilation, humidity, air conditioning, easy access to cold drinking water, easy access to washrooms or toilet facilities, and a resource packet. 52% of respondents said that their workplace culture did not foster an environment where you would feel uncomfortable to take time off related to menopause symptoms. Fewer than 1 in 5 chose to disclose their menopause status at work. And there we go again with this destigmatization and the training for everyone. 44% not satisfied with the workplace culture. 30% said they're not comfortable speaking about their menopause symptoms for fear of being judged by coworkers. 26% reported they feel embarrassed to make comments about their menopause symptoms around coworkers. And that was a significant theme throughout our conversations with women too. And then provide basic menopause awareness training for supervisors and HR staff. 57% said they didn't know where to go for resources to help manage their symptoms. 42% said it negatively symptoms from menopause and perimenopause negatively impacted their ability to enjoy work. Only 12% were confident that they knew who to ask for help when their menopause symptoms presented challenges. And 1 in 3 did not feel prepared to deal with their symptoms during the workday and expressed dissatisfaction with their manager's willingness to accommodate their symptoms in the workplace. So, and there is later in the report, I'll just show you, we listed quotes from the survey respondents and from some women who were in the conversations, and also embedded in the report is a very powerful, I want to go back up, video that, where's the video? I would, if you don't read through the whole report, I would definitely suggest you watch the video, and it's a compilation. It's in here somewhere. Where is it? If you click on each of the regions too, you can see every question that was asked in that region and the answers that the panelists gave, which is really helpful, as well as like photos and who the panelists are. That's right. So everywhere you look, you click here. So up here, you'll see who they are and then their bios. So you can find, if you're in your area, you can find who the panelists were and who the menopause certified folks were in the area. Whoops. Well, shoot. So there's a lot of good information in this, but I highly recommend you watch the video. So let me tell you the lawmaker recommendations real quick. And the good news about those, that most of them have been introduced. Like I mentioned, 2 bills were passed. So create and fund public education and awareness campaign. This House bill has passed the House bipartisan, which is, and there was also a funding bill introduced, but that has not been passed yet. But this is one of the bills that's sitting in the Senate right now. Improve access to healthcare, menopause and midlife healthcare. These 2 bills have been introduced, and these are for insurance coverage for menopause. We're not calling it hormone replacement anymore. It's menopause treatment therapy, I believe, is what the physicians are calling it now. So those are both in the health committee or the insurance committee in the House right now. And then create policies for menopause physician education. This is another bill that passed the House. It is in the Senate right now. And that would create a curriculum, not mandate it, but a curriculum that is optional for physicians in the state to take to do their continuing education. And then this is one that has not been introduced yet. Rhode Island's the only state that has passed this type of legislation, which would enact and put in law protections for women experiencing menopause, just like childbirth and pregnancy protections against discrimination, etc. And then I mentioned the video, these quotes, just one of them, tiredness due to hormone changes. And this is why we need to, everyone, and it's not just the men who need to be educated, but tiredness due to hormone changes has been shared with my boss, but she has told me that I need to figure out how to manage my energies because I report to the C-suite and I need to keep up with them. No, thank you. So there's just a lot, many. So just to give you for the survey, who responded is, as you can imagine, mainly women between 35 and 60 with the age. The racial and ethnic composition mirrored very closely to Michigan's overall racial and ethnic composition. 62% of the survey respondents said that their medical providers did not discuss menopause with them. And I can say that was for me. I had a woman primary care, and she never once asked me anything about have you paused? Do you have an issue? Nothing. And I didn't know what to ask. So I just, soldiered on. 52% of respondents indicated the workplace culture did not foster an environment where employees would be comfortable taking time off. 79%, I already mentioned these, want a supportive workplace, and 77 want to learn more about workplace protocols. Now, here's a big one. 11 of the respondents said they left their job due to menopause symptoms. So, assuming the survey represents all midlife working Michigan women, that would represent 16,500 women leaving the workplace yearly due to menopause. And we know nationally from a Mayo Clinic survey that 10% of women leave the workforce every year due to. So this mirrors that national number too. So I will stop there. Again, you can click here, see who all the panelists are. We go through like from the conversations, what were the top questions asked and what are the answers? The panelists talked to us about, we always ask them if you had a magic wand, what would be one or two things you would make changes right now? Oh, and this is the video at the end. The Voices of Michigan Women, it's 8 minutes. It's really powerful. And then we have a message from the governor. And I'll stop sharing. And does anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for that overview. You have a lot of commentary in the chat for you. But does anybody want to come off mute and ask any questions? Feel free to raise your hand and we can call on you for questions for Cheryl.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question. I guess as far as next steps, where do you see like the commission going? I see some opportunities for advocacy. What do you see happening in the near future?
Yeah. So our hope is that we can do another round of conversations and we're kind of playing around with it, but like call it Find Your Menopause and encourage women to get together and maybe have like some kind of toolkit that we can hand off that people can have their own conversations within book clubs or where they worship. We've had so many women come up after conversations be like, can you come to our church or can you come to our book club? And obviously we couldn't do all of those, but have like a toolkit of how you find your own menopause and how you have the conversation, and bring in people who are currently can educate women on what do you ask the doctor at the doctor's office? Like, just bring in and have a checklist for women, like take this with you and here's your checklist. And how do you advocate for yourself in the workplace? Honestly, we searched high and low for employers who are implementing any menopause specific initiatives like that we showed in the report that women want. And there are some that are doing some things like that, but not necessarily with menopause or perimenopause in mind. So until we have a law passed that kind of encourages / mandates those kind of initiatives, I don't know how much we're going to get done going at employers, because I thought at first maybe we should go take the report to employers and encourage them. Actually, let's go back around and talk to the women and how to advocate for yourself in the workplace, and do it from the ground up, do it from the inside, and put some pressure on our employers to help us and help them, help them retain us in the workplace and our productivity and all of it. So that's what I hope is our next step. And starting that maybe like August, September through the end of the year. And I would love any thoughts or insights on what you would like to see in a next step or a next round of conversations. I'd be all ears to that too.
Thanks, Sheila, for the question. Carrie.
So Cheryl, thank you so much for presenting. Sorry, let me lower my hand. So I appreciate it so much in the conversations that we've had over the past year. In watching the video, it's very interesting. I belong to a couple of organizations, I'm sure we all do, and I started seeing women that I know,
Mhm.
and reaching out to them and saying like, hey, like Renee Yancey is a friend from Detroit. Like Renee, I saw you speaking. Like we need to incorporate this into Rotary. Like there are a lot of women in Rotary that we're all in too cold conference rooms, or we need to take breaks or mental breaks during conferences, and we call them like health wealth naps. We just escape to our room for 10 minutes.
Yes.
But talking about it just for everyone here, even mentioning it, Sierra, I'm her advisor. I attend her committee meetings. I think we end up talking about menopause at every meeting, even though we're community impact. And just sharing information. We had a member who said her ear had started itching, and some of us just went,
Oh,
"Oh, girl, that's the first sign. If you're doing this."
oh, annoying. It might still, I mean, I paused it. Like my last menstrual cycle was in 2019. So it was like 2020 was really when I paused. But I still have that itchy ears. It's awful.
hmm And that there are so many things that doctors haven't talked to us about. So in talking to women and sharing your stories, you can learn a lot. Sierra knows that I talk a lot. My provider, along with my menopause treatment, perimenopause treatment, was also able to address like my Raynaud's and stuff like that with medication. And it's just stuff that's honestly, it's Cialis. It's targeted toward men, but it's a vasodilator and it helps your blood flow.
Mm.
And I've been cold for 45 years. And this year is the first year I don't need my heated blanket all the time, but it took so many years of seeing someone and advocating. My last comment will be too, in sharing your stories. My husband, we manage a bunch of restaurants. They have ovens, they're very warm. We had a manager who was asking to turn down the air conditioning, which obviously is a cost. And when he was like, I just don't understand, she keeps asking to turn it down. And I said, how old is she? And he's like, I don't know, like in her 50s. I was like, let her turn down the air conditioning. She is hot, she is tired, and she is managing people. Like, give her relief. And it had never occurred to him that that could be the reason that someone's asking to turn down the air conditioning, is just that they are going
Such
through it.
great example. Such a great example of why that education for everybody in the workplace is so important. Yeah.
Thanks, Carrie. Heidi, I saw your hand.
Um, yeah, this is all great information. It's an old song to me because as a chiropractor and dealing with a lot more women coming in, because I think this generation just talks about it more. When you said, okay, I talked to my mom and she didn't say, she looked over, it was, I think is a generational thing, and the Gen Xers and millennials are starting to have that conversation. But what I'm finding is we don't have enough providers with the insight. And I thought what was interesting with one of the bills is the continuing education for menopausal and hormonal treatment wasn't always approved. So I think that's a big thing that us as junior leaguers, as we look at it, that is something part of the bill that we could support. I have read through some of those bills, and there's some good and bad altogether. But I think the importance of also talking about holistic, like WHOL, like the whole body and how we can care for and treat it and manage these symptoms. So I think this information was pretty vital and kind of opening up people and can be used to help shape the future for our medical community and how we treat this, not just in the workplace, but also for doctors of all different specialties. So
Yes.
100%. Thank you, Heidi. We have probably about 30 seconds if anybody has a quick question or comment to Cheryl.
I just wanted to know how we get involved or how we can get our companies involved.
Yeah. Great question. I was looking for something, sorry. that I wanted to share with you. I think that you can get involved by advocating for some of those bills. For example, the two HB the two insurance coverage bills are just
Mhm.
sitting in the House Insurance Committee and they need a hearing. So if you want to reach out to the chair of the insurance committee and encourage that that those bills get a hearing would be great. So any kind of advocacy around that, I don't know exactly if the junior league, I think you do have an advocacy arm that you do some advocacy. So any kind of advocacy like that. And I'd be happy to talk more in depth about how to do that and who the chair is and those kind of things as well at another time. And if we do these another round of conversations, I'd really like to pull in employers as well. We tried as much as we could when we went around the state the first time to include like the chambers and all of the employer associations, but they need to hear this. They need to see this data. So if anybody has, employer that or, a workplace that you'd like us to do a presentation about some of these recommendations or to come in and do a panel or, anything like that to help educate employers in the workplace, we're happy to do that. And that's a big deal. And then just follow our social media and watch out for when we are going to do those conversations. And I'll stay in touch with your leadership, with Carrie and Kyla and others, about what our next steps are so that everyone knows. But I think those are some really great ways. Spread the word, share the report with your employers, etc. And the one other thing that I was looking for that I want to share with you is that on May 1st, we are doing a full day at Central Michigan University. So they invited us CMU invited us to do a panel at their clinician symposium, which is like their 11th year doing this symposium in February. And so we did a panel. It went over so well. They're like, can you do more? So they've invited us back. So we're partnering with their medical schools. So their medical school and their school for medical professionals and their collaborative learning center, which used to be DEI, but now they call it something different. They're in the university to do this whole day conference about menopause. And we're specifically talking about menopause in the margins. So like we will have a woman veteran on a panel. We'll have neurodivergent. We'll have women with HDAD who take meds that they can't take hormones, like all of the people, LGBTQ, trans men and women, like all of the people who aren't really, nobody's yet really included in the conversation, but those are in the margins. So that's what we're focusing on. And it's going to be, we're calling it an experience because we're doing breakout sessions in the morning and the afternoon with we're going to have a somatic therapist doing she calls it movement medicine, but nervous system regulation. So that'll be a breakout session. We have a sex therapist doing a breakout session. We have a naturopathic doctor doing a breakout session talking about all the herbs and teas and all the things that you can use other than what your doctors can prescribe. So these will be it'll be a full day, May 1st at CMU. And I was going to share the QR code. It's free, breakfast and lunch included. And I'll share the QR code. Where did it go?
And Cheryl, as you're sharing that, I know our president from Junior League of Ann Arbor just dropped off, but if you could share
Oh, yes.
the information about what's happening in Ann Arbor, I'll make sure I'll share that with her.
Right.
And absolutely, you've come to the right place. We are the advocacy arm for the Junior Leagues for Michigan, as well as all the ladies on here represent local leagues and their advocacy arms for their local leagues. So you're in the right spot to get folks to advocate to move those bills both in the House and the Senate. So we will follow up after this meeting to let folks know about those bills that are mentioned in the report and see how we can help to get some of those moving along.
Wonderful. And like I said, I'm happy to talk to anybody about more information. I don't know how to share this. It is a PDF file.
Maybe you could just
If you
email it to
email it to
Keela.
me,
Can I?
yeah, if you email it to me, I'll get it out.
Is this for the Central Michigan one?
Yes. it's
I
the
have it. I can get it to you, Keela.
You have
Okay,
it?
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could share it with everyone, that would be wonderful.
Yep.
I am,
Awesome.
if I don't have my Gen Z team, I'm often stuck with things like that.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you again for joining us. We're so excited about
I'm
this. This
so
is
sorry again for being late. I'm so glad I made it.
all good. We got it in, and I think this is a great follow. We had a conversation with Dr. Najella in October about menopause. So when we send out the video for this, we'll combine both of those so that we get both sides of that conversation, and hopefully we can get some of this stuff moving. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll hopefully have to have you back
Thank
to
you.
talk a little bit more about it.
There it is.